Good morning. Happy Monday. And market's gyrating here a little bit. Well, I'm truly hoping this market drops here for a couple of days and we get some multiple time frame alignment, which we don't right now. And that typically leads to, some confusion till things get lined up. But at the moment, for this morning, markets look like they're going lower. And of course, the question always is, well, lower to where and why? So as I look at that, and let me just get my little drawing tool out here. It was the move up, then prior to that, and the pullback to support. And so now it failed, and we got this little rounding top there and break of the support in intraday. And this has already been violated, so we can forget about that. And so we've got this open void down to this 2800, 1820 area, give or take a little bit. So when I see a pattern like this, of course, the thought is that's where it's going. So that's my bias for the moment, that it'll stop here. Maybe buyers can take control at that point. If not, we've got the next level down there. And so on the way down from smaller time frames, we'll look to see if it gets a little extended, and if it can make a W bottom, or if it comes down and makes a whatever kind of even a higher low, whatever, we'll see. But for the moment, we're looking for it to come down to this level. And so let's clear this up. So here's the conflict, is that here the daily charts have broken their uptrend. They've tested this level once. Now, the test of this level basically makes this insignificant at this point. But it's the same point where it now created this pivot low, this swing low. It's in the same area. And so the weekly time frame, still having moved up and pulling back in what I would say is a normal type of retracement, it's a little deep. Like you can see, it tried to hold here at the minor support. The major support level is here. So give or take this area, just technically speaking, let's forget about tensions with China, tensions with Iran. Let's forget about the Fed minutes on Wednesday and all the news, yada, yada, yada. And we just focus on the charts. So here's the current bar, and let's assume this just keeps coming down as this says it's going to, and down as it retests this area. And ideally, it even takes it out a little bit, because that is an ideal scenario where you get a little flush through the support level and trigger some stops, where it now begins to hold. And now on the weekly time frame, we see if it can start to turn up. So short term, the beginning of the week, we're looking for a move down. This could take a couple of days. We shall see how long it takes to get down there. I don't think it can get down there in one day. That would be one gigantic bar, but that could be a good thing. I mean, that kind of an extreme move to the downside, but we'll take it as it comes. Right now, short term, I can see it's trying to hold the prior hourly low. Ultimately, I think it has to come down here, but I would watch this on a smaller time frame to see how it actually acts after the open. So by the middle of the week, toward the end of the week, what I'm hoping for is we do get down here, buyers begin to step up, and we see if we can actually make the turn based on the weekly chart. So there's a lot to digest here as far as these, daily time frame, weekly time frame, hourly time frame coming into alignment before the turn. So short-term biases look for lower. And as you can see, there's lots of red going on here. A little bit of green where you got, where is it jumping around here? T-Mobile and Sprint getting a deal done. So Sprint's up there about 25%, big pop, and the buyer is actually up too. So a little unusual, but I guess it's being viewed as a very positive thing. A lot of semiconductors actually down, which led the move up. So you can see the semis here look like they're at 76, just the dot, not too active. But they bounced here before us, but I think ultimately, just based on how things are going here, I think the 200 MA, give or take, is a likely target. So we've got NVIDIA and a lot of other semis. You can look through the list here as to what's dropping and see where they are at support. Again, answering a question here. Yes, Christian, we do. So moving to the Qs, a little closer to their respective support areas, but you see the same weekly pattern. You know, they were stronger. So you can see their move down has already been larger, but that's pretty common as to the stronger market pulling back further during a correction because they've got this void below. You know, so they jumped further. So the area of support, that reference point where buyers want to step up, is further away. And this should reinforce for those of you that are looking at trend lines as being support and fib lines as being support and different things, that those things ultimately, well, they can become self-fulfilling prophecies, especially on indices. They are really irrelevant when it comes to real support during any correction because prices just slide through them. They're subjective. Ultimately, the real buyers want to be where they were before, not on some arbitrary line that you connect dots to, or even a moving average. You could see the 50 MA is widely followed and the 200 MA is widely followed on daily charts of indices. So it makes sense to know where they are. But ultimately, buyers want to step up where they were rewarded the last time. Now, as this is coming down, you know, it was tested once already. And this is where we look for, can it hold? Even if it goes slightly below, that's okay. And then we get the reversal, we get a W bottom type of a pattern. And if it doesn't stop there, well, then we look for, you know, maybe coming all the way down here, which will be about a 10, 11% correction. So as I said earlier, a lot to digest as far as how things shape up and multiple time frames coming together. Hourly charts say coming down to support. So you want to watch the Qs here at this level because they looks like they're going to get to their reference point sooner. And that, you know, moving down there probably affects the S&Ps, where maybe they make a higher low, but we'll see. You know, buyers in this market, they want this to drop down here where they can pick up those contracts at areas of support because that's the highest odds area for a bounce. And at that point, the hourly's in a downtrend, and now we just go through the multiple time frame analysis of, hey, does this hourly actually begin to base out here? Can it begin to turn up while this is down at these levels? And this is how we put together this whole picture of multiple time frames, going from the smaller down to the daily, down to the weekly, and then ultimately, if we can get the turn here, now our bias becomes one of the potential for a larger move to the upside. So there's a lot to see how this all unfolds. And you can see I've got the 200A mark down here. This just keeps coming down, maybe into Wednesday in the Fed meeting minutes at 2 o'clock. So a lot of earnings coming out with retailers this week. So you'll probably a good idea to keep an eye on those, which let's take a look at that sector for the moment, which looks like it's on the cliff of falling significantly, but maybe those earnings can save the day or they're going to drive it lower. So something else to keep an eye on, sector and stocks that are going to affect that sector. The Dow at its support level actually holding up a little bit better. See, and this is a great example of one market starting to hold. So traders watch different markets, into market analysis to say, hey, is this market holding? Is that one showing relative strength? Is another one showing relative weakness? And you put together this information to say, hey, this one's holding, it's starting to rally. The other, that'll help the other ones. Or the other ones are starting to fall. So when you have a misalignment of different markets, there's this uncertainty. When they're all moving together in lockstep, well, there's really nothing to question other than, hey, they're all moving down or they're all moving up. They're going to continue to do that until it stops. So we have the Dow here kind of in the middle of this move up off of the low. And ultimately, I mean, for me anyway, I want to see it come down here because, just like any traders looking to buy at areas of support, that's where the greatest odds of those buyers stepping up again, where they were rewarded in the past. So, and I'd like to see the Dow futures come down into this area, and then we start to watch the turn on the smaller time frames, which intraday will be the 5 minute, and then we'll see how the hourly begins to shape up in alignment with the 5. And that's what we call the factory work of understanding multiple time frames analysis and putting it all together. Gold looked like it was going to get going last week, and it has now disappointed. I mean, it could be bottoming here, but this weekly chart is really on the edge of a cliff as well. Now we've got last week's high and low being support, but this now takes on the look of potentially being a measured move lower, whereas this move here ultimately could send it all the way down there. First thing to do is, for now, I would just say stay away from this, since it's actually, formed this trading range, small trading range at these levels, you can see right there. And if it can't hold this level, well, then it's going to open up the door to these stops being hit and prices going lower from there. And bonds have had a nice move, and this is where sellers are going to be. And not to say that this ultimately will stop them from going higher, but it's just to recognize that this is a point that they fell from before. And so while they were, they had this shakeout here and this really strong move up, in reality, based on those kind of strong moves, it should have never come down here. So now from this support level, it's rallied almost 100% up to here. So now it's hesitating. What do? Well, if you're long, you could raise stops, sell some, wait to see what the reaction is here. Can it chop around sideways for a while? And ultimately, if it can do that, this is what we call absorbing supply. Some people say, oh, it's acting well at resistance, meaning it's gone sideways, it's not pulling back. And for the moment, we could see that this little dip here, buyers stepped up on the dip. This red bar where sellers showed up, it hasn't followed through yet. And that's why on the hourly chart, you can see this choppy sideways consolidation as traders wait to see, will it really pull back? Will buyers continue to show up here at resistance, which is bullish? And that then opens up the door to, the next move up, which, well, let me just put my next line of reference there to that 155 area and see if it can move up into that level there. We've got oil just chopping around here. Somewhat similar pattern, not exactly, but a little bit of a deeper pullback into support. And just show you what I'm talking about there. The strong move up and the deeper pullback to support. And this is where, buyers start to step up tentatively. And this little bottoming tail shakeout to the downside gave them the confidence that, big buyers were lurking below. So with oil, you've got the wide range bar, you've got a big topping tail that hasn't followed through. So buyers are stepping up, but again, you can see the hourly chart, there's this hesitancy at the moment. Now, when we look at this weekly chart, the question is, okay, this is our weekly pullback. It's relatively shallow. And shallow pullbacks after moves like this that are so close to resistance opens up the door to potentially an M top. And so M top is just what I'm saying. It looks like an M top, so we'll see if it retests that area. And then, if it was to break down here, well, now you've got a bearish pattern on oil. So something to look for. It'll take a couple of weeks probably before we would know if that's actually in place, or whether, hey, it doesn't have to happen. It could just keep going up to the next level up here. So in scenarios like this, you're either a buyer looking for it to move up, would have thought of, hey, I'll take some profits here, maybe it goes higher. It's unknown. But when you got entry points so close to potential exit points, it's not a great reward to risk scenario. And let's just go back to, just to reinforce this concept of M top. Well, you've got one up here. All right, this is, shallow pullback, retest, wide range bar. And there was the break that started this move down. So now we're looking at the cash Dow here, at 200-day moving average to pop up, and now it's pulling back a little bit. So, we've got a trading range going on. Is this going to break? Do we get, there's so many scenarios now when you get this kind of uncertainty happening. Can it be an M top, a head and shoulders top pattern that ultimately breaks? So, or does this weekly chart take hold? So there's a lot of conflict, and that's what I wrote about in this weekend's letter, as to the conflict of time frames here, which creates this uncertainty about which way are they going to go. So you either sit on your hands and wait to see, does ultimately this turn happen here? Does it fail? Or you just trade intraday, short term, which is just fine. But if you're looking for swing trades, they're going to be more difficult to find right now, because of where things are. And now, we're getting all of these big gaps to the downside, which is going to make it more difficult for even those short setups that were in place over the weekend. So, we got a Monday morning here with multiple time frames out of alignment. We got prices rolling over on the intraday time frames, which will present opportunities for intraday traders. But if you're a swing trader, probably better to keep the powder dry and wait to see how things clear up here to find better odds opportunities. So that's it from me. Let me turn it over to Dan, cover open positions and gappers and so on, and we can get started on our day here in the green room.
Good morning. Yeah, that's the third Monday in a row with a big gap that's, messing up a lot of our nice weekend picks. We'll just take them one by one. If they still trigger on the long side, fine. But like you said, some of the shorts are going to be excessive gaps down. Let's start with our opens as always. Roku is our only open position in the weekly option trader. We have a out of the money put spread, the 80.75, and we just need it to hold. And we actually have some new trades on that over Friday's high. The swing ladder, CNF, we have a put spread, Mohawk. We legged into a covered call. Keys, I guess, made an adjustment. We had a beautiful all time frames in alignment short Friday afternoon. And we're already up, $3.50 on it. So you can cover a third. ZBH was another short we did Friday afternoon. EEFT, we have a June put spread. And I said in the video, if you're not in it, don't take it, just because it got real spready. DTE, we're long stock. There was a lot of good oil and utility stocks. KMB, we have a covered call. WEC was one of those nice, I don't know if that's oil or utilities, but it was a 1, 2, 3 with a new low here, range expansion. We entered that on Thursday, it looked great. SPWR, it's a longer term trade of ours based on the weekly and monthly. Tango Whiskey, short way out of the money puts for next month, 35s. ARQL, We're long stock on Thursday, and that's, I said in the video, and I even did a little chart lesson, that's just a beautiful 1, 2, 3 continuation if you want to add to it or enter it. We are long stock. X-ray, we legged into a covered call. November Sierra, long stock, it needs to hold right here at the 50% level. And finally, Maxer. This was the one we sold half for 22% return in 2 days. And we tightened the stop for the back half. So I don't see any obvious disasters. I see them with all of those open positions. We've been doing a good job hand picking the bullish and bearish patterns. All right, TMOS, Greg mentioned, yeah, they're going to approve a merger, 79, or at least the guy's indicating it. I don't know what that really means in terms of reality. Anything gapping up today is strong. TTM, this is Tata Motors. It's all the way back down. I don't like ADRs. Vive, yeah, the semis are getting whacked again. I'm sure it's more on this Huawei relationship that Trump started last week. Vive, nothing to do. Wing, Trader McGraw sent me this and some list. You know, if McGraw, even over this pivot, it might be okay as an early entry, because then that, you know, would be showing relative strength. This is a pseudo 1, 2, 3, even though that tail is deeper than we like. So that's still strong. I'll keep an eye on it. KSHB. Oh, I think these two were marijuana stocks that I read about in Barron's. I wanted to add to my list. There's no pattern here, but KS. Yeah, the article had something to do with, and this other one, GNLN. The article was talking about even, you know, pot stocks were getting hit in the tariff. So this was a recent IPO that I didn't know about, but if it can get above this resistance. FANG, if we can get a put spread under this tail, so the 105s, if it stabilizes. CXO over Thursday's high. I like it. It's been going sideways here, same sector. JWN got favorable mention in Barron's, even though there's no pattern. That's a nasty downtrend. XAR, Greg mentioned in the video, aerospace holding pretty darn well over Thursday's high. You got a small little bear sandwich here on the monthly. T2, it's actually a bullish 1, 2, 3. Gapping down here to 105. So that's right at the 50% mark. UNH, over Friday's high, it's actually a put spread candidate. I don't have one tier 1 setup yet, just going through these. These are, this is a put spread candidate. It's a minor bear sandwich. If you can get it under last week's low. Wide range bar breakout, that would be a good 1, 2, 3 if it sets up. CAE, I don't know how we missed this gapper on Friday. Look at that gap breakout, 30-minute high. Some more utilities breaking out. Ed, PEG, knee, that one's getting a little extended. I'm going to delete you. Ring, put spread candidate. None of these are I want to rush into. This is Alex's marijuana stock. I want to watch it on a pullback. Oh, charter getting whacked today. Is that I don't know why. That was when I was watching long on Friday. ETR, that's in the letter. That looks fantastic. Look at that. 2 bars, closing new high, retracement, engulfing. That's pretty. XEL, it's been strong. CMS, positive. LICO, it's been weak. Band, that's all-time highs. Look at it. Opening flat is relative strength. Look at our Roku turn green in a weak market. Disney over last Friday's high. Facebook